Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Hey, let's play a fun little game for a second here. Let's come together, right wing and left wing, and let's set a new rule, shall we? It's a really simple rule, trust me, and that simple rule simply is, no more double standards, okay? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If it applies to one person, it's got to apply to everybody else, huh? Hashtag, no one is above the law, not even the president. Well, I know that Donald Trump's certainly going to remember that one after he wins this next election, hopefully in a frickin' landslide. That was one standard, huh? Then the next one was, what was that thing that they said all the time? Well, if he's not guilty, why would he have anything to hide? If he's not guilty, why is he trying to run away from the investigations and the legal proceedings? Only a guilty person would do that, remember? Oh, I remember quite clearly. Which is why I find this clip that I'm about to show you guys so incredibly ironic. Here's the new rule. The same standard now applies to everybody. No special standard purposely saved for you Democrats out there. The same rules apply to everybody. Remember, nobody's above the law. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so here's a clip that just honestly had me laughing. Disgraced former FBI chief Andrew McCabe says some agents will flee the country if Donald Trump wins, fear that they will be, quote, thrown in jail. Holy freaking moly, I can't believe he said this with a straight face. Take a look at this.
He is someone who's entirely transactional. And if he feels like he's been wronged in some way, then he focuses on revenge and vengeance. And so he's made it perfectly clear that that's what he's going to do. And in the process of seeking that, he is going to he runs the risk of really dismantling and greatly incapacitating the Department of Justice and the FBI. And that is something that Americans on both sides of the political aisle should be worried about. Yeah. We depend on those institutions to protect us.
Well, what do you think
and he is proposing to tear them down.
What do people inside the FBI think when they hear a comment like that?
You know, it's terrifying. It's frightening. I have a lot of conversations with former colleagues, people who are or were in the intelligence and law enforcement community and may have worked in, the Obama administration, other places. And, people are really trying to assess, like, what is life going to be like if Donald Trump wins a second term? And on a very personal level, I mean, these are torturous discussions with their family members about whether or not they have to leave the country to avoid being unconstitutionally and illegally detained. I mean, people are actually worried about being thrown in jail or grabbed in some sort of extrajudicial detention. And I think, as crazy as this sounds in the United States of America, I think people should really consider that these are possibilities. Listen to what the man says. He typically does what he says, as crazy as it seems. And that's really all the indicators you need.
Yeah, that's Andy McCabe. Andy McCabe is really worried about all the FBI agents who are scared of Donald Trump. What are they scared of exactly? The truth finally coming out? If you didn't do anything wrong, if you're not guilty, remember what the leftoids said? Well, then you should have nothing to fear. Why would you run? Why would you want to avoid being investigated if you got nothing to hide? Well, then show us everything. That was the standard with Donald Trump when they had no evidence of any wrongdoing ever. He just had to accept constant legal harassment and attempted criminal framing, because if he didn't, well, then he would basically be telling everybody that he was guilty. But now these guys, who have been running an election interference racket, who've been manipulating the public, who've been lying, illegally obtaining warrants and illegally spying on the former president, now all these guys, they're the victims, and you should feel sorry for them, because the evil dictator, Donald Trump, wants to come back in office and exact his revenge. It's always a game of framing with these people. It's revenge, right? When Donald Trump does it, it's revenge. Even when it's totally justifiable. I mean, give me a break. They're trying to demonize him for saying this recently.
And I said, wouldn't it really be bad, with like, as an example, Hillary, with the hammering of her cell phones and all of the things she did. But wouldn't it be terrible to throw the president's wife and the former Secretary of State? Think of it, the former Secretary of State, but the president's wife into jail. Wouldn't that be a terrible thing? But they want to do it. So, it's a terrible path that they're leading us to. And it's very possible that it's going to happen to them.
But do you really blame him? Is that extremism? Is that weaponization of the justice system? Getting revenge on your political opponents? Or at this point, is that justified? Hillary Clinton conspired with foreign agents to draft a dossier filled with Russian disinformation that was then used to illegally obtain a FISA warrant, which was then illegally granted to a bunch of rogue agents at the FBI, who then infiltrated and spied on Donald Trump's campaign. Then after failing to impeach him twice, FBI agents were caught in multiple entrapment incidences. They were exposed as lurking beneath, in the shadows, violating American citizens' First Amendment rights on social media companies in an effort to skew information and develop propaganda narratives that would hurt Donald Trump and help Joe Biden. You know, all of this stuff happened. And now when Donald Trump says, look, it should have never happened in this country, they're literally trying to put me in prison. They spied on my campaign. They colluded with Russians. They colluded with the Biden campaign and the Hillary Clinton campaign. All of this happened, and I think that it's wrong and we should do something about it. He's a bad guy who wants revenge. It's unbelievable. It's like the same kind of thing I always say. They punch him in the face, he blocks it or dodges it and then goes for a counterattack. His strike lands, and then all of a sudden the opponent goes on their knees and cries, "Ow, you hurt me," like a damn frickin' baby, and everybody's coddling the person who threw the first punch. Like, they're the person who deserves sympathy in this case. It's unbelievable. Give me a frickin' break. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Hillary Clinton never did anything wrong and Donald Trump's a proven criminal in court. Again, give me a frickin' break. These leftist arguments are mind-numbing. Let's not forget that the Hillary Clinton campaign got fined $8,000 for lying about payments that they made for the Steele dossier to Fusion GPS.
Well, welcome back. So is it accountability? The Federal Election Commission is now fining Hillary Clinton and the Democrat National Committee over the way it paid a firm to produce the notorious Steele dossier. The Clinton campaign has been fined $8,000 and the DNC slapped with a $105,000 penalty after a 2016 letter revealed that they violated campaign finance rules. The FEC says both parties failed to properly report payments for opposition research and the production of the dossier, instead labeling the payments legal services.
The campaign wrongly classified the payments as legal advice. The same thing that Donald Trump got hit with a 34-count guilty verdict for. The same thing. The only difference is Donald Trump's payment could actually be argued as a personal expenditure, not a campaign expenditure. He's actually got a legal argument. Not to mention it shouldn't be a felony. I mean, the list goes on and on. We're not going to get into the details. But Hillary Clinton, who did the same thing, engaged in the same falsification of records for a clear campaign expenditure. I mean, the way that she spent that money on the Steele dossier, that money would have never been spent personally if it was not to go after Donald Trump, if it was not to destroy her political opponent. That was a campaign expenditure, but Hillary Clinton gets off scot-free, barely a slap on the wrist. I mean, for Pete's sakes, you could fine a whole lot of people $8,000 and they'll be okay. Like, regular working class people can absorb an $8,000 hit, maybe less so in Joe Biden's economy, but you get the point. Put it into perspective, she got an $8,000 fine. She's a multi-hundred millionaire who was the leading presidential candidate and did something so insanely corrupt and morally reprehensible, and that's what she got. It's nothing but double standards. So all I ask for is for maybe like a month, you know? Yeah, we get it, you know, June is the rainbow month. Let's choose, I don't know, July. Maybe July will be the month of no double standards within the realm of politics. That's all I hope for. You know, if Trump's a criminal who should be pulled off the ballot and thrown in prison, well, let's apply that same standard to every other politician in the realm. Well, there goes Joe Biden. Oh, there goes Hillary Clinton. Oh, there goes Barack Obama, the war criminal. And if no one's above the law, then what do these FBI agents have to worry about? Donald Trump can't possibly weaponize the unimpeachable, unquestionable, totally credible legal system, now can he? I mean, that's the argument defending Alvin Bragg's case, is that the justice system is neutral, even in this case where Joe Biden's literal top DOJ dog, or number 2 DOJ dog, took a demotion to go work for Alvin Bragg on this case. Alvin Bragg, you know, a Democrat politician, funded by George Soros, elected by Democrats to go after Donald Trump, the judge's daughter, the list goes on. You know, don't question any of that. The legal system literally cannot be manipulated and politicized. Well, I guess if that's the standard, well then put all of these corrupt people's feet to the flame, and let's just see what happens, huh? Is that an acceptable request? What an absolute farce. I think the clips speak for themselves. I just don't get how CNN viewers watch this stuff unironically without pulling every follicle of hair from their frickin' scalp. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.